Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we take the sources you share with us and distill them into genuinely useful knowledge.
It's good to be here.
We're tackling something pretty fundamental today. It's the search for some kind of stability in a world that, well, it feels increasingly chaotic and uncertain.
That anxiety it's universal.
Yeah.
People are constantly looking for a quick fix, a guaranteed outcome.
Right.
And today we're going to dive into a framework that offers a true, lasting inner calm. It's the concept of divine decree, often called al-Qadar wal-Qadar.
And for this, we're drawing heavily on some structured insights from the scholar Ustad Yazid bin Abdul Qadir Jawaz. Our mission isn't just to define this idea of predestination.
No, not at all.
It's to really extract the wisdom that shows you how believing in a divine plan for both the good and, importantly, the bad things in your life can just fundamentally reshape how you handle fear, failure, and sorrow.
And to do that, we need to unpack the structure first. It has to be systematic, because if we can understand the cosmic framework, the personal applications, they just become incredibly clear.
Okay, so where do we start?
We'll look at the 4 essential levels of this decree. Then we'll bridge that into the difficult question of human choice and accountability.
And then the practical tools, the payoff.
And finally, yes, deliver the practical tools for tranquility.
Let's start with that foundation then. Our source material describes divine decree, or Qadar, as resting on 4 pillars. 4 essential pillars.
That's right. Think of it as the internal architecture of the divine plan.
So what's level 1? What's the first pillar?
The first pillar is knowledge, al-ilmu, and it establishes that God's knowledge is absolute, timeless, and total.
Total in what sense?
It encompasses what has happened, what will happen, and even things that logically could never happen.
And the detail the sources give here is just beautiful. It really emphasizes the granularity of this knowledge.
Exactly. The source points out that this knowledge covers every single falling leaf, whether it's dry or wet, and every single seed that sprouts. Nothing in the heavens or on earth is hidden from the Creator. That's the scope we're talking about. Infinite, precise knowledge.
Which I guess leads directly to the second pillar, if everything is known.
It must be written down. Exactly. That's recording, or al-kitaba.
So this is like a master record.
This is the record kept in what is known as Lau Mahfuz, the preserved tablet. Everything that will ever occur right up until the day of judgment is registered there.
Everything.
Including the ultimate destiny of every single soul. The source tells us that the very first creation was al-Kalam, the pen, and it was commanded to just write all of destiny.
Okay, that sets up a really critical clarification, one that I think people miss a lot. The existence of this master plan doesn't mean we know what it says.
That is such a crucial caveat. Despite this detailed recording, absolutely no created being, not the greatest prophets, not messengers, not even angels, has access to what is written in the preserved tablet.
So the plan is set, but it's a secret?
The plan is set, but it remains a secret to creation. And that secrecy, as we're about to see, is actually what preserves the necessity of human effort.
That makes perfect sense.
Oh.
Okay, so moving on. What defines the third level of this decree?
The third pillar is will, or intention, al-Messiah.
This is the execution phase.
You could call it that, yeah. It asserts that nothing happens, not in the heavens or on the earth, unless it is actively willed into existence by the Creator. Everything proceeds exactly according to his divine intention.
And the final piece of the puzzle, the one that brings the whole architecture together,
is the pillar of creation, al-Khalq.
Right.
This is just the affirmation that the Creator is the sole and ultimate source of everything. He is the only Creator. He brings into existence everything that exists. These 4, knowledge, recording, will, and creation, they establish total sovereignty over the entire universe.
With that cosmic framework laid out, we have to tackle the question that I know every single person listening is asking right now.
I know the one.
If everything is known, written, willed, and created by God,
Yeah.
What about me? What about my decisions? How is this not just fatalism, where I have no free will?
Right. Where does my responsibility fit in?
Exactly.
This is where the concept moves from pure theology into, well, practical justice and ethics, and it requires some really careful distinction. First, let's talk about guidance, or hidayah.
Okay.
While guidance is ultimately in the Creator's hands, he guides whom he wills and misguides whom he wills. This isn't arbitrary. It's balanced by this core principle of non-oppression. Zulm.
That principle, it's drawn from that powerful hadith of Abu Dhar, right? Where God has forbidden oppression upon himself and made it forbidden among people.
That's the one. And the implication is massive. Because God is the ultimate owner and sovereign, the sources explain that even if he chose to punish every single inhabitant of the heavens and earth, it would not technically be unjust.
Because all creation belongs to him.
Exactly. But we know his mercy prevails, which is why he ensures clarity for us.
Clarity is key. He has shown mankind the two clear paths, good and bad. The sources call it Wahadenhun Najdain.
Precisely. He sent messengers, revealed scriptures like the Quran, and clarified the stark difference between right and wrong, between true monotheism, Tawheed, and associating partners with him, Shirk.
So there's no excuse.
The sources argue that this divine clarity leaves absolutely no excuse for human beings on the Day of Judgment. The difference between the paths to heaven and hell was made explicit.
Okay, let's drill down into the choice itself. If my actions are already written down, how is the consequence still my fault? Can you break down that distinction, the created ability versus the chosen act?
Yes, and that distinction is crucial. So, while God creates all things, including a human's inherent ability, their kakorzan, and the desire of the kakorzan to act,
right,
the choice to actually execute that action belongs to the human.
So God created the hand, and God created the feeling of thirst. But I'm the one who chooses how I quench that thirst.
That's a perfect analogy. There's a powerful quote here. Wallahu khalaqakum wa ma ta'malun. Allah created you and what you do.
Okay.
God created the physical body and the mental capacity, but the human chooses to use that capacity to drink beneficial water or something forbidden, like wine. The responsibility, and therefore the consequence, it falls squarely on the human's chosen action.
Not on the created ability itself.
Not on the ability, and that is how human accountability is preserved.
Wow. That completely shifts the conversation. We've gone from abstract theology to personal utility. So how does internalizing this heavy theological architecture actually pay off in your messy, uncertain Monday morning life?
It leads to this profound benefit that the early believers called the sweetness of faith. The core payoff is absolute inner peace.
Inner peace.
When you truly integrate the belief that what was destined to happen will not miss you, and what was destined to miss you was never going to hit you.
Yeah.
The greatest sources of modern anxiety, they disappear.
That is the ultimate stress release. It means when you're standing at a crossroads, waiting for test results, facing a big financial decision, you give it 100% of your effort, but you completely let go of the result.
You let go. You eliminate the corrosive effects of constant worry and fear.
And this tranquility must be most obvious when facing hardship, right? Musiba.
Absolutely. When calamity strikes, a sudden sickness, the loss of a loved one, a huge professional setback, the believer understands that this event was already decreed. It was unavoidable.
And the spiritual reflection that the source draws from this is essential. The acceptance of that hardship, which is known as Rita, it actually turns that tragedy into a spiritual opportunity.
It reframes the entire narrative of suffering. If the believer is patient and accepting, the hardship is ultimately the best thing for them.
How so?
Because it acts as a means to wipe away sins, to raise their spiritual rank, and it can lead them directly to paradise. It's no longer viewed as random, meaningless pain, but as a deliberate means of spiritual elevation.
To maintain that profound balance, though, we have to talk about the historical errors the source material warns against. A correct understanding of Qadar is a middle path between two extremes.
Yes, two theological extremes. The first is the Qadariya.
Okay, and what was their fundamental mistake?
They rejected God's role in human bad actions. They basically claimed that humans created their own evil actions entirely independently of God.
And the source material describes this as being incredibly dangerous. It's almost a form of dualism.
It is. They compare it to the Majusi, the Zoroastrians, who believed in a creator of good, light, and a separate creator of evil or darkness.
I see.
By saying humans create their own actions completely, the Qadariya were essentially suggesting a creation of action outside of the divine will, which is a form of polytheism or shirk.
So then on the other side of the spectrum, you have the fatalists, the Jabariya.
Right. The Jabariya believed humans are entirely compelled or forced jabber with absolutely no freedom of choice or intention whatsoever.
And our sources refute that.
Completely. They refute it by pointing to the necessity of choice. Humans clearly have intention and desire, and they're commanded to believe or disbelieve. Famini shafalukmen wa mini shafalaikfur. If you are forced, you couldn't be commanded.
So the true orthodox path is an active one. It demands effort, usaha, combined with trust, tawakkul.
You can't just sit back passively and wait for destiny to unfold.
Right.
Abandoning effort entirely is a rejection of religious teaching. If you need food, you work for it. If you're sick, you seek medical treatment.
But the other side is also a danger.
Relying solely on your effort to the exclusion of acknowledging God's will, that's also a form of polytheism. The balance is to exert maximum vigorous effort working, studying, worshiping, while simultaneously seeking help from God. Musta'in.
So taking the means doesn't contradict reliance on God.
Not at all.
This definition of the middle path leads us to a really clear profile of the strong believer. The sources paint this picture of who the strong believer al-Mu'min al-Qawi is. And it's a strength of conviction, of discipline.
Yes, the source relays the hadith of Abu Huraira. The strong believer, strong in faith and application, is better and more beloved to God than the weak believer, although there is good in both.
And this strong believer lives by 3 clear, actionable commands.
3 commands that guide all their effort, yes.
So let's break them down. What's the first mandate for strength?
First, strive vigorously for what benefits you. Iris alama yanfauka.
What does that mean in practice?
It means actively pursuing knowledge, good deeds, worship, honest work. It's a command to be productive and to seek benefit in everything you do.
Second is about dependence.
Second, seek help only from God. Wasta'in billah. This reinforces that balance we talked about. You exert the effort, but you rely on the Creator for the outcome.
And the third command, this one directly addresses that weakness of spirit.
Third, never despair, be weak, or become lazy. Wala tajaz. It is an absolute command against defeatism, even against the thought of saying, I cannot, before you even try.
This links right back to how we deal with hardship. It's okay to attribute unavoidable calamities, like a flood or a birth defect, to divine decree. But the source stresses it is absolutely forbidden to use Qadar as an excuse for sin.
Yes, you cannot steal and then claim, oh, it was decreed that I would steal. The responsibility for sin rests squarely on your individual choice, and the only path for sin is repentance.
Which brings us to what might be the most practical piece of advice for emotional resilience. Avoiding that dangerous trap of if only.
Yes. When misfortune strikes, a missed opportunity, an accident, an unexpected loss, the natural human tendency is to say, if only I'd done X, then Y wouldn't have happened.
And this is what the believer has to completely avoid.
Completely.
Why is that phrase, if only law, so dangerous? I mean, it just seems like natural regret.
It seems natural, but the sources give a severe warning. The proper, tranquil response is to state, Qadarullah wa mashafal. Allah has decreed, and He does what He wills. The moment you say, if only, the source cautions that you open the door to the work of Satan. It leads to this continuous, debilitating regret, sadness, and weakness that just diminishes your spiritual strength without changing the past one bit.
What a cohesive framework for stability.
Yeah.
I mean, we've covered the 4 pillars of decree, the critical balance of choice and creation, the immense spiritual benefits of acceptance, and now the practical steps to maintain that emotional strength.
In summary, the source material really leaves us with 2 clear duties. First, believe in divine decree, recognizing that both the good and the bad are from God.
And second,
act according to the sacred law, the Sharia, which includes maximum effort and reliance on God. Our job is the striving, not trying to decipher the entirety of the cosmic blueprint.
that's the perfect summation. Focus on what you control, your effort and your reliance. But if we connect this all to the bigger picture, what final piece of advice should the listener carry about attempting to fully grasp the details of this divine plan?
What's fascinating here is the final note of caution and awe that the source leaves us with. Divine decree is the secret of the Creator.
The secret of the Creator.
Do not weigh yourself down attempting to fully scrutinize or understand why He did certain things, or why destiny unfolded in one way and not another. Our source reminds us, referencing the scripture, God is not questioned about what He does.
But humans will be questioned about what they have done.
Exactly. So our ultimate focus must remain squarely on our own actions, striving vigorously for what is beneficial and relying entirely on His strength and wisdom for the outcome.
That offers incredible clarity and relief, really. Focus on the effort, let go of the result, and find your calm acceptance. Thank you for guiding us through this deep dive.
May peace and success be upon you as you continue your journey of knowledge and faith.